So, next, Alecia Galloway is going to perform her poetry piece, I believe it was from last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, entitled Bubble Trouble. A poetry piece is an 8-minute collection of poems, cutting of poems. Yeah, or one poem, but it's 8 minutes of poetry. And you are not allowed to have props, you are not allowed to have costumes, and you are not allowed to have any sort of thing that would prevent you from just using your face and body and voice. Yeah, you can have a stool, and that's about it. Or a chair. Yeah.
Or a stool chair.
I'm just going to stand here.
Alright, well, I can share that this poem has a certain level of emotional and personal significance for me, because it was my mother's favorite poem growing up. And when I hit high school and I suddenly realized what all the wonderful words in the poem meant, it became a favorite of mine as well. So now I get trotted out at every family function to perform Bubble Trouble. Okay. Bubble Trouble by Margaret Mahay. Little Mabel blew a bubble, and it caused a lot of trouble. Such a lot of bubble trouble in a bibble-bobble way. For it broke away from Mabel, and it bobbed across the table, and it bobbled over Baby, where it wafted him away. Now Baby then cleverly began to smile and dribble, for he liked the little wobble of the bubble in the air. But Mabel ran for cover as the bubble bobbed above her, and she shouted out for Mother, who was putting up her hair. At the sudden cry of trouble, Mother took off at the double, with a squealing, left her reeling, left her terrified and tense. Saw the bubble for a minute, with her baby bobbing in it, as it bibbled by the letterbox and bobbed off across the fence. In her garden crested gravel, began to cry and cavil at her lazy brother Gravel, reading novels in his bed. And she bellowed, "Gracious Gravel!" and she grovelled on the gravel as the baby in the bubble bibble-bobbled by the fence. In the garden follies, Tibble and his jolly sister Sybil sat and played a game of Scrabble, shouting shrilly as they scored. But they both began to scramble and to scrabble with the Scrabble as the baby in the bubble bibble-bobbled by the board. Then the couple, quite a crabby couple, set off tottering and tottering as the baby bubbled by. But when they saw the bubble with the baby bobbing in it, they raced away like rockets, and they've never linked again. Even feeble Mrs. Threeble, all unmuddled with her needles, popping pink and purple patches to a pretty patchwork quilt, when her sister told her, threw her quilt across her shoulder, and set off at a totter in her tattered, totted kilt. In the shops there was a busy rabble, gathered to gossip and to gabble, such a tittering and jittering as the bubble bobbled by. Along came Mabel, Tibble, Gravel, and a jogger, quite the slogger, joined the crowd who called and coughed. There was such a flummadiddle. Mabel huddled in the middle. They were grown groans and gasps and gurgles from the horror-stricken crowd. Meanwhile, the bubble lifted, up high above the people, up high toward the chapel steeple, lifting slowly high aloft. Cannon, no. As the people gathered and watched in shock, Canon Dapple left the chapel, followed by the chapel choir, and the people gathered, watching helpless as they stared, as the baby in the bubble lifted ever high aloft. "With this problem let us grapple," murmured kindly Canon Dapple, "and the problem we must grapple with is bringing baby down, so let Mabel stand on Abel, who will stand in turn on Tibble, who will stand on Gribble, who will stand here upon the wall, and all you people from the shop will stand to catch them if they topple. Perhaps then we'll reach the bubble, saving baby from a fall." But Abel, though a treble, was a rascal and a rebel, fond of getting into trouble when he didn't have to sing. Moving quickly through the people, Abel clambered up the steeple with nefarious intentions and a pebble in his sling. Abel quietly aimed a pebble past the steeple of the chapel at the baby in the bubble, slowly lifting high aloft. And the pebble burst the bubble, and the future seemed to fizzle for the baby boy who grizzled as he tumbled through the air. "Upon my honor, there's a baby who's a goner." And Krista hissed with emphasis, "It shouldn't be loud." But Mabel, Tibble Neville, and that jogger christened Neville didn't quiver, didn't drivel, shrivel, wilt, but as one. They made a swivel, and with action firm but civil, they divested Mrs. Threeble of the pretty patchwork quilt. And oh, what calculated catchwork! Baby bounced into the patchwork, where his grizzles turned to wriggles and to giggles of delight. And the people stood dumbfounded as he bobbled and rebounded, till the baby boy was grounded, and his mother held him tight. And the people there still gabble, there is lots of tittle-tattle, for the glory in the story, young and old folk, gold and gray, of how wicked treble Abel tripled trouble with his pebble, and how Mabel and some others saved the baby and the day.